guys ready for some Chapters rap here? All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Daryl J.
You know, Steve, I've been waiting here for like 2 hours, man. I came here like 2 hours ago.
2 hours? What do you mean 2 hours ago? You came here 2 hours ago.
Well, I've been sitting in the parking lot for about 2 hours. I woke up this morning, set my clock back because, that thing happened or whatever.
No, you didn't set it back. You sent it forward.
Oh.
So you've been an hour, 2 hours.
Are you kidding
early
me?
Every
You
time.
joking?
I'm not joking. Everybody turn their clocks back.
That's probably funny to everybody else. That's not really
Well, you know
funny
what?
to me,
I hope
but-
you can do your thing still, all right?
I'm all right. I got 2 hours of practice.
There you go. All right, Daryl J.
The song is by Jason Mraz, but I'm going to do a fun thing. Ain't got no dough. All I got's my 40. Ain't got nobody, baby, that I can call my shorty. Ain't got no dough. All I got's my 40. Ain't got nobody, baby, that I can call my shorty. I'd like to welcome all the people back to the Chapters rap with the dopest Steve. What he needs is to get me back on the show for the most hope. Always know that we running miles, never beguiling. I'm a child with the most dope smile. Hendrix, I go flower with the voodoo. I got my Uncle Herb and I say the worst is I'm sitting with the Unity Gain. Always making new records and I get it with a check that never vain. And I met Doug and Jose from my school and I met Dashley and it was so cool that I made the history. Currently doing the music and the way I do it is still so confusing. I got my bargain and Patrick Ewing, but I ain't got no dough. All I got's my 40. Ain't got nobody, baby, that I can call my shorty, but I'll never be alone. I said I ain't got no dough. Ain't got no, I ain't got no dough. Ain't got no, I ain't got no dough, but I'll never be alone. Now back to the Chapters rap in a minute.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, GMC, in the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with the one and only Madhouse TV.
You are the man.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hog's hair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
We are back with the Chapters Wrap, and Brian, Darrell J., what are your thoughts?
Very good, really good. I can pick up his bass playing from how he plays.
Oh yeah, how'd you tell?
Just the way he was handling the neck.
Uh-huh.
And, I could tell he had some experience with a bass.
Mm-hmm.
But good stuff.
Good stuff. He's a young man from Bayshore who's done a lot of volunteer work, and he was just at the Freeport Nautical Mile. They had an event, a parade for Halloween. And he was there performing in front of hundreds of people, and Darrell has always been part of the show. But we have another person part of the show, our youth hero, Joe Shawinski. Joe, welcome to the show, buddy boy.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Now, Joe, we've been friends for a long time, right, Joe?
Yes.
Right. You met Brian, right? You met Brian before the show, and Kevin McDermott is your running coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and tell everybody what you did yesterday, because everybody's watching football or getting ready for the election. But what were you doing yesterday?
I ran the New York City Marathon.
Joe Shawinski, New York City Marathon. And that's not the first time you ran the marathon, right? How many times have you run it?
I ran it 3 times.
3 times. And not just in New York, you also ran in where?
Boston.
In
so
Boston.
5.
So 5 times. That's unbelievable.
Yes.
How do you do it?
Good.
I do very well and I practice hard.
You practice hard. Now I see you holding something around your neck. What is that?
My medal.
Your medal that you got yesterday?
Yes.
All right, Joe, that's unbelievable. Now, when you run the marathon, how fast did you run it yesterday?
How fast did I run it?
About
What was my time?
About 4 hours?
4 hours and 22 minutes.
4 hours and 22 minutes. That's
Very
amazing.
good.
Do you get tired during the run?
No.
You don't get tired?
No.
I'm getting tired just listening to you.
No. No.
So how do you do it? How much practice goes into running a marathon?
4 days a week.
And what do you do 4 days a week?
Tuesday I have a track workout at Farmingdale State College, 6:30 to 8:30.
Wow.
And then Thursday I run in the neighborhood, and my dad follows me in the car. And then and then Saturday, I won again. And then Sunday, I won with Kevin McDermott at Sunken Meadow State Park for a long run.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, Sundays are a long run. Tuesday nights is a really intense, hard track workout that Joseph does now. He runs with an elite group of runners. And I was just thinking the other day, he brings such levity to the workouts because these workouts are so intense, and we're so wrapped up in our workout. And halfway through the workout, Joseph will just be jumping up and down on that starting line, laughing and ready to go, and we're all doubled over, hurting, and he brings such joy to our workouts that it's really awesome to have him around.
He brings a lot of joy, and
Adds to the inspiration, too.
definitely, definitely. And Kevin, talk about yourself a little bit. How did you become a running coach, and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm a hardcore runner. I love to run. Been running now for about 12 years. Was at a race one day, and I saw a bunch of kids in green singlets that said Rolling Thunder, and it was a special needs running club, and I got hooked ever since. I used to stick around at the end of the races and watch them all come in, and I just got hooked up with them, and I've been running with them ever since.
Wow.
That's great.
It's great.
Great stuff.
And when you prepare, like when Joe's preparing for the race, what's the routine? Is there a special diet he has to be on, or what's your thoughts about what he needs to do on a daily basis?
You know what? Joe's a runner, just like all typical runners. So his body responds the same as any other runner. So he needs a long run in. He needs some speed work. He needs some intermediate runs in. So it's pretty much the same. The logistics of getting Joe, to get these runs in is where the challenges are. He can't just throw on his sneakers and you can't just say, okay, Joe, go for a run and I'll see you in an hour.
Right.
So that's where, where we make some special arrangements. But otherwise, he's just a typical runner. He loves to run, never cuts a workout short. He's a great running partner for me. Keeps me in great shape. I have to be on, I know every Sunday morning I got to be on for 12, 14, sometimes 16 miles. So it's awesome.
So, Joe, what do you think of Kevin and his work that he does with you?
I think it's great.
Yeah. And when you're running that race, do you get excited before the race when you see all these people out there, thousands of people on the Verrazano Bridge?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So what do you eat? What was your breakfast yesterday you had before the run?
Waffle with peanut butter and jelly.
Ah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So now, did you run? Were you on the top of the Verrazano Bridge, or were you on the bottom? How did you start off?
I was on the bottom.
Right. Okay.
The bottom.
Okay. And when you finish at the finish line,
Yes.
how do you feel when you do that?
How do I feel when I do that?
When you finish the race?
I'm tired.
You're tired. Now, do you drink water during the race?
Yes, I do.
How do you get the water? Who gives you the water?
The people that hand them out.
Okay, all right. All right. Now, Kevin, when you see other people running like that, how do you coach Joe during the race?
Joe's been running for a long time now. He's been with, he started out with Rolling Thunder, I don't even know, a long time ago. He was one of the original members. So he's been running a long time. Joe knows what he's doing out there. Sometimes with any runner, you start 15, 16 miles into a race, you're hurting and, you're looking for some inspiration. And Joe's just like that. When you're running with Joe and you're at the latter stages of a race, if he's starting to flag a little bit, sometimes it's just like, hey, Joe, what do you think about the Jets' chances tomorrow, against the Bills? And, you just kind of redirect those thoughts, and he'll get talking about something else, and, he'll get distracted, and next thing you know, he's done 26 miles. Wow. My first marathon, I didn't finish it. I'm thinking he's 5 for 5 now, and I only made it to 18 miles in my first marathon. So for him to, not just his good finishing times, but just the fact that he finished 5 marathons, and he's not even sore today. I'm usually limping and I'm hobbling the next day after 26 miles. And he's ready to go, and he's jumping around.
He's ready to go. So, Joe, what do you think about when you're running?
What do I think about when I'm running? I think maybe I would like to maybe I would like to won some how about
Maybe you're thinking what you're going to do after the race?
well, after the race?
Yeah. Well, what do you run to after the race? Where do you guys go after the race?
Carmine.
Carmine's. And what's that? What do you have at Carmine's? Because we know what you have for breakfast.
Yeah.
So what'd you have at Carmine's?
Calamari, spaghetti, meatballs, veal parmesan, and margarita with salt.
Okay.
And then cheesecake for dessert, and then some water with ice.
Wow.
He earned it.
Yeah,
He earned it.
that is great. And who was at the party yesterday when you were celebrating? Who was out there at the party for you?
It was me, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, and my uncle from New Jersey.
Okay. It's always important to have your uncle from New Jersey there. That's,
Tia Joseph.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
There we go. Brian, what do you think of running the marathon? I mean, I just
Well,
think about it.
I give him a lot of credit. He's such an inspiration in ways he probably doesn't realize. But it's people like Joe who accomplish things and sometimes struggle through some adversity and stuff was motivation that I used after my accident. And although I don't know Joe, his inspiration got through to people like me. So it's further reaching than even he would realize. I would always compare my situation with what others are accomplishing, and it was a real big help for me. So, I would thank Joe today for his inspiration.
Wow, Joe, that's amazing. And I know that we met each other at Abilities, right?
Yeah.
Talk about Abilities. How was that for you? Did you like it there?
Yes, I did.
Yeah? What'd you like about it?
What did I like about it? I liked.
Did you make a lot of friends there?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah? I know a couple of people there you really liked. Jillian Bianco, right?
The teachers, too.
All the teachers.
Right.
And that's how we got to know each other, right?
Yes.
But Abilities helped you kind of look for work and how to get a job and how to kind of
Yes.
interview for work. And tell everybody where you're working right now.
Working at Texas Roadhouse.
All right. That's a
in
great place.
Colmac and Deer Park, right by the Tanger outlets over there.
Oh, we're pretty close to there right now.
Yeah, we are.
So what do you do there? What do you do at Texas Roadhouse?
Well, I clean the blinds, and then after that, I do the ledges, the peanuts, the silverware, the salt and pepper, and then I also do the buttercups up and down. I do that, and then I also I straighten out the napkins on the plates.
All right.
And then lemonade, and then you go home and have a nice lunch at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joe, every time I talk to you, you always talk about food. You know that? That's good, because I'm hungry right about now. So, Kevin, after the race, what's his training protocol? I know the Boston Marathon is, in April or so?
Yeah.
So what would be his...
2 a year is perfect. Now he'll have some downtime and recover, just like a typical athlete. And then just start building up again, a little bit slowly at first, and then you get about 12 weeks out from a goal race, and that's when you start doing specific training. That's when we'll start, ramping up the long runs and a little more intensity.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you like it after the race? You kind of hang out for a little while until the next race, Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, two Boston, running in the Boston Marathon is big too. I mean, there's only a couple of big marathons in the country: New York, Boston, and Chicago. I think has one, right?
Yeah.
So those are big races. I mean,
Yeah.
over 26 miles.
Yes.
Yeah. So when do you work next at Texas Roadhouse?
Well, I work there tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
On
all right.
election day.
On election day.
Yeah.
Now we're not going to get political, but what are your thoughts about election day, Joe?
What are my thoughts about election day? Thoughts about election day.
Who do you think's going to win?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
And I'm going to vote and say yes.
Well, you're saying
say yes every time.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is to go out there and vote, right, Joe?
Yes.
It's very important to vote.
Yes.
And but you're, like Brian said, you're a true inspiration to everybody
really.
around you. and just your smile, and show that medal again for everybody to see at home. Okay, because that's a proud moment. Everybody here in the audience, Joe Shawinski.
Very good, Joe.
Thank you so very much for being on the show, and Kevin, thank you for doing what you do and helping so many people out there.
Yeah, I love running with Joe.
Yeah.
Also, this is how we got to Carmine's after the race was over. We had to take the subway, the C train.
The C train, yeah.
Yeah.
The C train.
Downtown to 42nd Street, Times Square.
All right. That's a nice plug for Carmine's and how to get there. One more time, Joe Shawinski. Thank you so much.
Now you can have the picture.
Oh, here's the picture. Let's see what we got here.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. We got a nice picture here. We got a nice picture. Thanks, Joe. Those are the coaches. That's so wonderful, and you're such an inspiration, a blessing for everybody,
Matt
Joe.
Barrett from Connecticut and Moley from Northport Running Club. Tim Moley from Northport Running Club.
All right. All right.
Good job.
Well, Joe Shawinski, thanks
good
very much. Brian, we saw Darryl J., who's young, Joe Shawinski, making me feel old, but what are your
Well,
thoughts
you are
on
old.
these? Well, I am old, but you know what? You're old too then.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we're both old here.
Being as old as you feel.
But talk about the two people that we just part of the show already.
Well, both inspirational for different reasons, and the people that need inspiration will get it. They'll find their niche and their spot and who to get it from. Neither one of them is lacking in that field of inspiring people, but different people will get different things from them. So I told a quick story about my recovering from an accident, and people like Joe, how much they inspired me in my recovery process. And for that, I'm like eternally grateful for the people that were out there. Even though he didn't know he was helping me, he was. And that's an amazing point to make, is that even people like Darryl are going to inspire youngsters to get involved with music or some passion that they have in life. And he's going to help them realize their dream.
Right.
Whether he knows them or not.
Right.
You know.
And you know what? Who else realized their dream since 1908? The Chicago Cubs. They turned it out after 108 years. They did it for Chicago, and that was amazing.
Finally did it.
Against Cleveland, and Cleveland hasn't won since the 40s too, but Chicago took it home, and 5 million people turned it out there in their park to congratulate them. That was that was the biggest gathering of people outside a religious event. That 5 million people.
That is a lot of people. It shows a lot of dedication for the fans.
Yeah, well, generation after generation, when the Cubs win, In 1908.
A lot of generations.
Yeah, in 1908, if we go back to 1908, the average life expectancy was 47 years old. So things changed since then.
Yeah.
Only 14% of homes just had a bathtub. You believe that? Only 14%. That's a big difference. And only 8% of homes had a telephone. So, things have changed drastically. And the average wage in 1908, guess what the average wage was an hour?
I don't know. I guess about 25 cents.
22 cents. Just a little bit more than we're making right here today on the show.
Yeah, so.
But anyway, it's a lot of things have changed since then, and the American flag only had 45 stars on it too. So not every state was represented at that time.
Yeah, there was a couple of latecomers.
Yeah, latecomers, and at that time, Las Vegas, Nevada only had 30 people as a population. So things changed since 1908, but the Cubbies won. And, your book, too, we're going to get back to your book a little bit. Your book has inspired so many people. And the nature of the book, explain that a little bit to our listeners and viewers out there.
The main focus of the book was the fact that I died from an accident that I had and the massive head trauma that I sustained. And, it just goes through the process of passing over to the other side and seeing my father, my deceased father, who sent me back ultimately, and how I tried to bring the benefits that I got while I was there some heightened senses and things like that. I try to put them into practical use in my own life. And in doing so, I try to help other people accomplish the same thing through my experience. So it's a similar mission as to what you have and what you're doing. And if it inspired some people, I'm more than happy, in as much as I've been inspired by people like Joe and even Daryl. It's kind of like completing the circle,
Right.
of giving back.
Right. So when you do book signings and different things that with the public, either at bookstores or different venues, do you feel that connection that people have, or do you feel like they're inquisitive
Well,
of your journey?
Well, it's a sensitive subject, and it's personal to most people because there's always some measure of religion or spirituality involved, and that's usually a personal thing for people. So I try not to dig into their belief system too much. I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I try to keep it general. If they ask specific questions, of course, I'll get into that. But it's hard. It's hard to feel the connection all the time right away.
Right.
Sometimes they have to go and think about it, or they have to place it into their own belief systems. It's not something that I can really do for them. But I get a lot of reviews and things, so I hear about it afterwards,
Right.
how it helped them, and that they were happy that they read it and gained some comfort from it.
Right. And just so if people are just viewing us for the first time, why don't you explain your book, the title of your book, and where people get a hold of it?
Well, it's called A Flight Without Wings. I don't have a copy of it on me, but you can find it anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of the big retailers, Turn of the Corkscrew, which you're familiar with.
Yep.
Or they can go to my website, brianmclaughlinbooks.com, and get all the information they need. They can contact me if they have a question or a concern. I'd be happy to answer it for them right through the website, and maybe save them the cost of buying the book.
There you go. And I got a free copy of the book, so I want to thank you.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I've read it a couple of times. It's a great book. You have to go out there and get it. But we have a couple of holidays coming up. Well, we got Election Day tomorrow. We got Veterans Day on Friday. So, I mean, without getting political, I know Joe shared who he's going to vote for.
I'm not going to get political.
I know, but what's the main message? I teach a lot of kids in college and high school. The main message I'm trying to tell them is that despite who you're voting for, just go out there and vote.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, and that's the main message you should put out there, is that you get proactive. You go out and you vote. I'm sure you have an opinion, and whether or not you want to share that with anyone is your own business. But you really need to go out and vote so that for your own self, so that you're satisfied that you've contributed to who you wanted, and let the process work.
Right, right. And teaching younger people, I've never had, for several years now, I've never had more of a desire for young people to talk about the upcoming election. We've talked about over the last couple of weeks now about their thoughts about politics, foreign policy, the business part of things. Despite the negativity between the two candidates, they're talking about the different issues, which in the long run, that's what we want young people to talk about.
Yeah, it appears that this election is really charged, and is not necessarily, it is partly, but not completely by the personalities involved. I think that people in this country are ready for some change, or ready to get involved, and that's where they start, is voting.
Right. Well, come Tuesday night, we're going to have a new president in town, starting in January, and changing the guard, and we all have to band together as a country to support that person, and looking forward to that. And Veterans Day is on Friday. We've had a show a couple of weeks ago with some Vietnam vets, and I know we're doing a special benefit at the Mousetrap for November 19th for Operation Initiative, Lou Falco's program.
Right.
So talk about your feelings about veterans and the need for not just young people, for everybody to acknowledge what they've done for our country.
Well, I think all one has to do is reflect on what kind of service they give to the country and to all of us. And you could easily see that we owe them a debt of gratitude that's very hard to satisfy, on a personal basis. So I think what people need to do is to get involved with organizations and maybe contribute a little bit, whether that be financially or with their time, and to help the organizations because they have more power, more
Right.
collective power.
Right.
And this way, these veterans who put their life on the line oftentimes are injured, have to adjust in life, dealing with mental issues and PTSD and things like that. They need to have a place to go to that can help them.
Right.
And it has to be specific help from other veterans. That's where the best help comes from. So I think that that's something that people need to keep in mind. They don't have to fully understand the veteran or what he does or so forth, although they can go to like Lou's organization and find all of that out. But I mean, all the person has to do really is reflect on what's going on over there. You know, the fact that they're carrying guns and they're fighting an enemy, whether you believe it in or not, these guys are enlisted in the service of their country, and they need to be respected
Right.
and not forgotten.
Right. And again, as an educator, I'm constantly talking about, what Vietnam War was, what World War II was, and if you see a veteran, for younger people, for older people too, go up there, thank them for their service. Reach out to someone. It's not a hard thing to do, but sometimes people kind of miss that, and they're the ones that really protected our freedom.
Yeah, very much so. And they really need to turn that whole thing around. I grew up in an era with the Vietnam War, and it was kind of shameful what this country did to the vets when they came back, and they didn't come back with any kind of a welcome.
Right.
And it's not too late to welcome them back.
Right. Right.
If you know someone that spent time in Vietnam, it's not too late to thank them for their service.
Right. Well, Veterans Day is coming up on Friday, so everybody go out there and thank a veteran if you see them. And again, if you come down to the Mousetrap on November 19th, you'll see a lot of veterans there. For more information, you can just reach out to the chapter's rep, 516-476-6271. We're also acknowledging Carolyn's Cuisine, who's a local, has a local restaurant in Amityville that gives back to families in need. And she'll be there for that show. There'll be lots of entertainment. And I want to thank the ownership of the Mousetrap, Tommy and Tom, and everybody that put that thing together, and also the work that they do here. So I want to personally thank them. And but I still can't get over the fact that you call me old. Look, I think you're older than me. We got to check birth certificates here.
Well, I mean, I could be older than you, but I think it's all a matter of perception.
I think so. I think so.
The number might be higher,
Okay.
but
All right. Well, I'm gonna mull that one over on the commercial break. But we have a really special guest.
just roll the camera back.
We can just roll the camera.
You can check for yourself.
I'll check for myself. But we have a really special guest after, John Serby, who's the founder of Bridgestone. So
Yeah.
does a lot of wonderful work for orphans around the world. So
Yes.
check back in on the chapter's wrap after the commercial break.
Very good.
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks. Anything. So, here, laugh a little harder. All right?
I will take him. I would be proud to show you off, you little old weirdo man.
Get a new sweater. The worst dressed man here tonight. Right? Look, get that laugh, and get it in there tonight because nobody else is going to laugh like her. She's under drugs, all right?
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hog's hair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly used in Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, GMC, in the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with your one and only Madhouse TV. You are the man.
We are back on the chapters wrap, and Brian, so far so good. We've had great music. We had Joe Shawinski around the marathon, and we had a really interesting discussion, even with your book and just that journey you've been through, and that how you've shared that with so many people.
Yeah, well, in sharing, I found that everybody's got their own pile.
Right.
So and it's important to them.
Right.
Their pile of stuff is important to them.
That's right. That's right.
And so everybody has a story. Everybody has an issue. And I think that one of the things that I try to do nowadays, at least I've tried to develop this, is to connect more with my ears than I do with my mouth.
Okay.
Because I realize everybody has a story and everybody has an issue.
Right.
So I found that if you listen, if you're a good listener, people remember you more than if you're a good speaker.
Well, that's probably true, and
So-
we're going to listen because we got John Serby here from Bridgestones.
Yeah, we do. He's got a lot of stories, too.
That's
I heard,
right,
you
and
know.
we got to tighten this up and see how we get them all in. But John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Welcome, John.
Yeah, thank you so much. And talk about Bridgestones. What's the mission behind it?
Yeah, well, Bridgestones International was founded with really the passion of restoring value to life and leadership, while addressing injustice issues and empowering and training leaders.
And how did you get started with this? How did it all come to be? Because Bridgestones, you mentioned in the green room there, 2001, right?
Yes.
And talk about how that evolved. What was the genesis behind it?
Well, was it the car explosion that I was survived from, or was it that I was born with a cleft lip and palate, where I've had 9 operations and bone grafts and bite plates, and there's been a series of events that have happened that really brought me literally to my knees when I was 19, and so you know, where I had a dysfunctional family as well, and so when I had an encounter with Jesus at 19, that's what changed everything for me. Where I realized now I was born with a purpose, and my life expression was really a response of gratitude in what all He had done for me and saved me from. And so, you know, I was living my own life, doing my own thing. I was going to Farmingdale University for ornamental horticulture. And then I had the car fire, and then I had to jump through the flames, and then a minute later the car blew up in Port Jefferson, and then soon after I was led to this Christ for the Nations Biblical Institute in Stony Brook. I lasted in 1 semester, and then I became a full-time missionary 26 years ago, now in over 52 nations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you find that even with the challenges that you've described, as you sit here today, do you feel like you're because of your relationship with God, let's say, do you feel almost, you know, lucky that you're in a certain position, or that has brought you to a certain place?
You know, I consider myself extremely blessed. Actually, my final surgeries were on board the Anastasis of Mercy ships that I lived on for 7 years. It was when the ship was in Senegal, West Africa in '94. And when I was praying before going into the surgery, I felt like this inside, the Lord saying, I want you to count it as a privilege to identify with my people that are suffering in Africa. And I've been able to be a source of hope for so many in Africa where they've never had seen a medical person or had the hope of a surgery, and those fear factors. I know you were mentioning before about fear, and so it's just been where, because of my position that I've chosen, I've seen it now be a blessing and not a curse, where so many people have been touched.
I can relate to that, because I think back to when I had my accident, and you know, I can understand, you know, what you're describing, you know, facial reconstruction and stuff. I had that done. So, and I'm all about that and can relate to that. But I was wondering if you felt the same way, is that in that accident, or that event in my life brought me to a certain level of clarity and understanding and peace, if you would.
You know, one of the great statements is that some of the greatest miracles in life come through suffering.
Well, I can believe
and
that.
that's certainly what I've experienced.
I've often thought about it, and even spoke to my wife about it, that I wouldn't trade it in. I wouldn't go back, you know, having the choice. If I wouldn't go back and have the outcome be different.
Right.
Because, you know, even though I lost the use of my left eye, I wouldn't trade in the vision that I lost for the vision that I was given. And that's been a motivational thought of mine over the last 20 years. And I've put it into practice as many times as I can. And I think that you can relate to that. It sounds to me like you've had enough similar experience and brought you to a certain place. You know, chances are, without those adversities in your life, you may not have gotten to the place that you're at. And it's great to see that you're giving that back.
Well, what's wonderful too about what you've done, you've had several adversities in life, but you didn't kind of shut the door and said, let me deal with it, always me. You know, you've seen suffering around the world. and talk about that a little bit, because sometimes in the United States we lose track of what's going on around us. Talk about what you've seen. I know you brought some things too, maybe to share that with us, but we want to get a sense of that feeling of what you've seen.
Well, when I stepped foot in Mexico for the first time in 1990, that was the first country I went to, and where I went through the dusty, roadless roads, as like the U2 song, the streets that have no name, and yet I believe there's one that knows all the names of where they are and who they are, and yet here in the trash of life, if you will, and then you can see and begin to see and then hear the most glorious music you'd ever hear of people worshiping God in spite of what they don't have, and so really it was a dying to self for me, and realizing basically like the old John Serby died and the new John Serby was resurrected, where now my priorities changed. I realized life wasn't about me, and I can make a difference, and that I was put on this planet to make a difference.
Right.
And even though everything behind me said, oh, who is John Serby? He's no good, he's an accident, whatever good could come out of him, and yet it's been an amazing journey that I would never have even thought of or dreamed of.
Wow. You're also working with orphans, and specifically India, but also around the world. And just in India alone, there's 25.7 million orphans in India. And also the trafficking of minor girls is a $1 billion a year industry there. And there's so many kids that are getting abused and exploited there. Where do you begin? Where do you bridge that gap?
The simplifying it, what I believe has happened for me is the who, how, when, and where. Where it's easy to be overwhelmed at so much incredible need when you look at, 70% of the world's population doesn't live like the United States of America.
Right.
And yet, actually in poverty. And you look at imagining the population in the United States completely disappearing, and that's the amount of women and girls that are missing or have been killed in China alone.
Right.
And so the idea of not letting the overwhelmingness paralyze, but saying, I can make a difference in one, I can make a difference in two. I have the empowerment, in many of our lives, we have the empowerment to at least transform and be a part of one family, if not more. And of course, with the globalization that's happening now, is that we can reach the planet without even stepping out on the other side of the planet. And so, well, here's a story here. This is Pavi. She was 9 years old, and I was living in Bangalore, India at the time in 2000, and she had a head injury. Her father was drunk. They were on the same bicycle. They fell off because he was drunk, and she cracked her head open in an open sewer. And now I went and I carried her to a hospital, saved her life, brought her back to the slums, which began me working in various slums in India. But what happened is she just graduated a couple of years ago from engineering college that we've been helping her and her sisters all our life now. And she's a computer engineer for Goldman Sachs in Bangalore. But now she's giving back. She was my translator in many of the families that we used to go to at 9 years old, just dove into intense mentorship. And so then she grew up with it, and now she's been an incredible leader in her community, as well as now raising up other children who are destitute and came from where she came.
Right.
Yeah, starts the ball rolling.
Yeah, see, that's what it's all about, right? When you said 9 years old, right?
Yeah.
So to turn things around to help others, that must be a beautiful thing to see in a different country.
Yeah.
It happens here, all the time, but to see it when people are poverty-stricken or crimes or abuses going on, and a lot of things that they don't have that we have, we take for granted. Briefly, for young people watching, missionary work, what does that entail?
Well, it's not kind of like what some would say is, well, you grab a Bible and you start shouting on some street corner, or you have to go to preach in another nation. But really, it's what are your gifts that you've been born with? I think you were speaking a bit about that before, and what is it that we have that we can have to offer, and then utilize that for the betterment of other people. I go to universities and schools all across the world. And one of the things that I always will say, I'll put the money on the table, I'll say, with the question, why are you being educated? And I'll say, if you can come with the answer I think is a paramount answer, then you can take that money that I'm leaving on the table. So then they'll say this reason, that reason. But really, I believe being educated is for the betterment of others in life. And increasing the value of life of others is not for me, for my own car, for my own family, my this, my. But really, getting back to your question of missions, it's making yourself available with the idea that other people have value. And really, Jesus said it so amazing, more than we can ever say it, is do to others what you would long, dream, hope for, aspire for them to do for you. And so that may take many different shapes and forms. You're just using all your different gifts. You know, like here, Mercy Ships, where I lived on a hospital ship, the Anastasis, for 7 years. You know, there is like a floating city, you know, where everyone from all different walks of life, they all use their gift and go in the same direction, no pun intended, but where they were able to, whether it's communications or relief and development or working with orphans or surgeries, medical, yeah.
Right. Well, I know you've been all around the world. We're almost out of time,
Yeah.
but I know you have a picture here that was kind of lighthearted, or you were in. Explain the picture a little
Yes,
bit.
Life on a Mission is a very serious work, but this is actually one of the most fantastic photos. When I was in the Land Rover with my friend, that's my friend Brian that you can see there, and then my friend Robert Gable had the camera, and we were in South Africa, and we named him Clyde. He came into the window.
Looks like a Clyde.
And Robert fell backwards onto me, of course, quite excited at seeing this enormous Clyde coming in the window, and so then that was the picture that came up. So there's, you know, no disappointments out there in Adventureland when you're roaming to different parts of the world.
Right, right. Well, Bridgestones, I know you need volunteers or donations. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, we have different mission teams that go into, well, right now we're focused in India. And so they can, you know, again, going back to different, you know, gifts that they can offer, but we do have medical camps that go into remote villages where they've never had any medical attention ever. And we're also building the school and children's home, King's Kids, for 1,000 children, which we have about 120 right now.
Wow.
We also have a small children's home in another part of India as well. So they can go to bridgestones.com and they can find out more. This week we'll have posting for the next trip, which will be in February.
So you need volunteers and donations,
yes, we need
right?
Volunteers or interns who would like to serve in India. It's a fantastic way to segue into the next part of their life as well. Yeah.
Well, John Serby, we want to thank you so much, very much, the founder of Bridgestones, for the amazing work that you do for so many people around the world. So we're going to take a quick break, and after the break, Dal J is going to take us home.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy,
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks.
Yay!
Excellent. I think so. I think we did it again. Well, Dal J is going to... Yeah, the Dallas help. Dal J is going to take us home. But Daryl, I wanted to make sure you know the time here, so you...
You know, most kids my age can't read that, Steve, including myself.
okay.
It's going to take me about 5 minutes.
I know
It'll change.
It's not a cell phone.
I got my phone, too.
All right. Well, you got your guitar, too.
Yes.
So Dal J is taking the traffic rep home.
Alright, with all the politics you guys are talking, I thought I'd do this song. It's called The Persona Drowned in Sadness, and that's a lot of us too much. This monotony, word stuck and repeat, but still it's hard to be a persona drowned in sadness and a face so full of batch feet. If I believe in sincerity and give love away like charity, then clarity will make mistakes seem incomplete. I never cheat, the system that we live in. The bias and sedition won't corrupt the life that I've envisioned. I lay back smitten, so sick and twisted, and in succession hate and love the life that I've been given. My life was guided by tears. Our eyes are being blinded by fears. Ignite, just burn away the lies, and we can find a solution. Another time, another place to set the face will form a mantra. Fight for fine, fight for hate, fight for things I can take done in a world of righteous, a world of just. It is all just a lie, something they made up. The politicians paint signs, so we gave up on the lower class lives when the malls trump chest. I will fight this economy, embrace foreign policy. There's nothing here left for me. The system is atrocity. We dictate democracy, and still you disgrace me. Guided by tears, our eyes are being blinded by fear. Let's ignite, we'll burn away the lies, and we can find a solution.